This man didn't amass all this power overnight. He had several test runs over the decades. The best scientists do not become administrators. The best scientists stay in the labs. That's the conclusion that author Bruce Nussbaum came to in his 1990 study of the federal government's failure to effectively fight the AIDS epidemic. Nussbaum's criticism applied to the entire government-run public health apparatus. But he was referring to one bureaucrat in particular.
What I'd like to do is discuss with you a topic which I'm sure all of you are aware of. And that is the subject of the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, because it really is one of the only subjects where you really have to change your lecture every month.
Dr. Anthony Fauci may have been, in Bruce Nussbaum's words, a lackluster scientist, but he has always been a masterful politician who first came to public prominence in 1984 when he took over the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Fauci's true vocation, the author observed, was not science, but empire building. Fauci had risen to the helm of the NIAID just 3 years after doctors first noticed a deadly illness spreading among homosexual men in New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco.
To isolate this, as you see here, the causative agent of AIDS.
Just last year, Fauci told a reporter from The Guardian, "My career and my identity has really been defined by HIV." The American people first got to know Dr. Fauci as the government's public face on the AIDS epidemic.
Cover story tonight, we'll talk with a leading scientist about his work in AIDS research.
His fame from that period helped to justify his outsized influence over the government's COVID response 4 decades later. Larry Kramer, co-founder of the Gay Men's Health Crisis, observed that in order to make an appointment with Dr. Fauci, one did not call his secretary or his personal assistant, but rather his press officers, quote, who book talks and interviews like movie stars. Much like today, at the height of the AIDS epidemic, the most dangerous place in America was the space between Dr. Fauci and a TV camera.
It gives me a great deal of pleasure and excitement to talk about AIDS.
As HIV and AIDS spread around the country, there were 2 distinct ways to fight the epidemic: vaccines or therapeutic treatment. With limited resources, the federal government could either focus on drugs that would suppress the virus and transform it from a terminal illness into a chronic disease, or focus on finding a vaccine that would prevent you from contracting the virus in the first place. Fauci, an immunologist by training, took the vaccine approach.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is hopeful that the answer to this dreaded disease may be in sight.
I believe now that we have the agent in hand, that the amount of effort and energy that's being put into it by biomedical sciences, that within a reasonable period of time we'll have a lot of these answers.
Well, it's certainly nice to know that the future looks brighter.
It's been nearly 4 decades since Fauci first started searching for a vaccine, and we still don't have one. Nevertheless, AIDS has gone from a death sentence to a perfectly manageable illness. But that happy turn of events did not happen because of Dr. Fauci. If anything, the United States got AIDS under control in spite of him.